Okay, again, in closing,
we agreed to
if Israel dropped down all their weapons, what would happen?
I believe Hamas will drop down and we'll live in peace.
What religion was Jesus? What did he believe?
Yeah, well, obviously he was Jew, but modern day Judaism is.
Hold on. Time out. No. Where was Jesus born?
Why does that matter?
Well, do you know?
What does it matter?
It does matter. You know why? Because when I went to Israel, I came in contact with a living God that walked on water and rose Lazarus from the dead. When I went to Israel, I saw the Bible come to life. When I went to Israel, I saw Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah in the Hall of the Patriarchs. When I went to Israel, what I read as Bible stories popped open, and I said, this is the Word of God. This is real. These are not fairy tales or fables or things that we tell our kids. It says in Genesis and Romans and 1 Thessalonians, Paul said, you will bless the Jews. If you bless Israel, you will be blessed. If you scorn Israel, you will be scorned. So who ran Gaza up until 2005?
Same thing.
No, Israel did. Israel used to occupy the Gaza Strip. 10,000 Jews left Gaza. The IDF totally withdrew. Why did Israel do that?
You tell me, you're the one at the table.
To pursue peace, because they were promised a peace deal if they got out of Gaza.
And
Then Hamas took over as mayor of Gaza, and it's now a hot tub for terrorists, where there are thousands of rockets every single month.
Where was the peace that happened after they withdrew?
Exactly. Israel signed a peace accord, and the PA violated it.
But
So this is the way peace.
occupying territory.
They weren't occupying. They got out.
But you just said Israel occupied that territory.
Correct.
In Gaza until they got out. So that's not.
No, but they got out on a condition of peace. So they said, we will get our 10,000 Jews out of Gaza. So 10,000 Jews used to live in Gaza.
Failed to recognize that they were occupying someone's territory, and that's
Well, so who is Gaza's territory? Whose is that?
It's Palestinian.
Egypt. It's been Egypt for 2,000 years. Okay. So since you understand this, maybe, how did Israel win back that territory?
Sinai deal.
Right. So in the 1967 war, they pushed back Egypt all the way to their borders, and so they gave up the Sinai Desert in pursuit of peace with Egypt. That worked. So then they kept the occupation of Gaza, which there's factories and rolling hills and vineyards, a lot of wealth there. There's 2 million people that live in Gaza, more or less. 10,000 Jews lived on the eastern skirt of Gaza. So in pursuit of peace, in the 2005 peace talks, Israel said, you know what? We want peace. As a condition, we'll get out if you guys have real peace with us. Stop launching rockets, stop building terror tunnels, stop killing our children, all these sorts of things. Are you pro-Hezbollah or?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, happy to.
What formal education do you have?
Plenty.
I mean, formal education. There's like a
If you're going to argue from authority, that's a logical fallacy. Tell me why I'm wrong. Don't tell me how many degrees you have.
Don't ask me to change the conversation.
I'm actually, I would argue I'm more informed because I didn't go to college, and I've traveled the world, and I've met with world leaders, and I've read many books. So tell me,
Oppressive to a lot of minorities that you've met around the world.
how am I oppressive? Can you name one example of how I'm oppressive?
I can name a lot of examples.
Can you name one?
but I'm not
Name one
sure.
example of how I'm oppressive, because you just
You are
said it.
literally here telling people that they are wrong about views and their.
Well, no, they just don't have facts. Can you tell me one time that I've been wrong about anything I've said? Tell me a time that Israel has launched an offensive war.
To Lebanon.
They didn't. They're attacking Hezbollah. It's within their
It
borders.
was to Lebanon. They don't just attack.
Hezbollah occupies southern Lebanon, which is Iranian funded, is it not?
Really? I had no idea. Thank you for informing me.
Anytime.
That is
Maybe if you
so-
didn't go to college, you would learn more.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right.
Here's the thing. But like IDF is a terrorist organization.
How is the IDF is a terrorist organization?
Yeah. No, according to a lot of people.
Wait, hold on a second. The
Maybe
ID.
not me, but like a lot of countries around.
Why is it that they haven't built a new school or hospital in the last 5 years? Hundreds of millions of dollars pour into Gaza. It's because Hamas runs Gaza right now, and they're a terrorist organization. So Israel got out of Gaza in 2005 in the pursuit of peace. 10,000 Jews were actually forced out of their homes in the pursuit of peace. Gaza got more dangerous. It became a hot tub for terrorists. You know where Hamas's money is being spent? On terror tunnels and rockets being shot towards Tel Aviv. Where were those 2 rockets shot 2 weeks ago out of? They were shot out of Gaza. Yeah, 2 rockets. Oh, what's the big deal? Yeah, who cares when Jews have rockets shot at them, right? Because Israel is fighting a defensive right for its own national sovereignty. All Israel has done since 1967 is go backwards. All Israel has done.
The UN sent an Asian diplomat, I forget his name exactly what it was, to go investigate crimes against humanity in Gaza. Israel did not allow him to enter Gaza because they said his visa wasn't valid, and that was published in an Israeli newspaper.
Okay, so I'll have to look into that. If that's the case, then I'll say that you're correct. But here's the question, though. So Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East right now. They're practicing democracy. Muslims, Jews, and Christians.
Israeli citizens vote in the upcoming elections then?
Well, they can. Hold on a second. First of all, many Palestinians in Palestinian Authority, that is in Zone B, not Zone A, can vote in elections. Secondly, here's the question: you want them to be able to vote both in PA elections and Israeli elections? Why hasn't the PA had an election in 12 years? Mahmoud Abbas is a dictator of the PA that uses the money and the aid that we give him to enrich himself. Mahmoud Abbas. Hold on a second. Hold on. Hold on, but I thought he was democratically elected. So why don't you guys have students against the Palestinian Authority, not students against Israel? The Palestinian Authority.
Palestinian Authority isn't holding guns against Palestinian children.
Palestinian Authority was democratically elected 12 years ago. Mahmoud Abbas has not had any checks and measures against him. In Nablus, he lives in a 25,000 square foot mansion. Here's the bottom line: is that Arabs are better served under Israeli government than under the Palestinian Authority government. Arabs are. I'm sorry, what? Wait, I'm sorry, what?
When they're in the ground dead, that's where a majority of Palestinians end up.
What are you? A majority of Palestinians end up dead? How dare you say something like that? There's 15.5 million people that live in the Palestinian Authority. Half of them end up dead? So you're trying to tell me that 7.5 million Palestinians have been killed? Is that what you're trying to say?
7.5 million live in the... I've never seen that number.
Well, it's actually 15.5 million is if you count the PA and Israel together. You're right. It's more 6 million in Palestinian Authority, 9.5 million in Israel proper. So it's about 15 combined. So 6 million. So you're trying to tell me 3 million people have been killed? 3 million people have been killed by the IDF? That's not even close to being true. So let me ask.
Listen to me. There's a difference between Zionism and anti-Semitism.
Then build it out for me.
You don't support the state of Israel doesn't mean.
So let me get this straight. You don't hate Jews. You just hate the Jews' right to exist in their homeland.
You're not even Jewish. You can't speak for people who are Jews.
Okay.
Wait, hold on a second.
They're not black. You want me to exist, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the worst identity politics argument. Just because I'm not something, it doesn't make me wrong.
No, the issue is that you don't have
It's
an argument
apartheid
in
state of
place
Israel.
that's not in line with conservative politics.
How so?
Because there is no separation of church and state.
Then why can let me ask you a question? Why can Christians freely practice their religion in Israel, but Jews can't freely practice their religion in the Palestinian Authority?
How are Jews not
practicing it?
What happens if an Israeli citizen goes into a Bethlehem? What happens if a Jew goes into Bethlehem? If a Muslim goes into Jerusalem, they can go to a mosque. That's what happens.
You know what happens at Al-Aqsa? You know what happens?
Al-Aqsa Mosque?
People are turned away because they can't pray in their own place.
Well, hold on a second. They have full access to Al-Aqsa Mosque. I was there myself. I was around 500 Muslims on the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Hold on a second. Jews' heads are cut off in Hebron if they go to Hebron. Jews and Israelis are not allowed in Palestinian Authority. So I was in Hebron 3 weeks ago. You know what happens if a Jew goes? If a Jew goes to Hebron, their head will get cut off. Okay, so Jews are not allowed in the Temple Mount. You do know that, right?
No, I'm saying Palestinians, Muslims going into Al-Aqsa.
Right. So
Yes.
it's very hotly debated.
No, actually, when
No,
I
it
was
is.
there, I was praying at Al-Aqsa, and I saw IDF soldiers coming in while I was praying.
Did
How
they
do you
stop you?
explain that?
Did they stop you from praying?
They throw like tear gas.
No, they don't. Not the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Did they stop you from praying?
I shouldn't be in fear while
But they don't do what you say they're doing. I'm just telling you, it's not true. Did they? But I don't think you're representing
I
reality.
was literally there.
So let me ask you a question.
She wasn't there, that wasn't happening, but she understood that it was happening in other times around that moment.
I
I've
was there. You should not be able to prove your religion. You should be able, if a Muslim
okay.
wants
That's
to-
a really interesting point. So Jews should be allowed on the Temple Mount because the Muslims don't allow them on the Temple Mount right now. So Jordanian control the
But
Temple Mount.
It was since the Prophet Muhammad. It was there since the Prophet
Oh,
Muhammad.
okay. So do you think? Here's the thing. So do you think Jews should be allowed on the Temple Mount?
It's a.
So you don't think it's a Temple Mount, because if you do, that's the very interesting thing. If you just say it's a Temple Mount, I'm putting you admittedly in a very difficult position, because Muslims do not recognize it as the Temple Mount.
Right, they recognize it as their place of worship, and it's been that way since the beginning.
No, it's been the Temple Mount since King David. Thank you very much. So, I mean, you could say whatever you wanted to say. It's a huge point. It's actually it's one of the biggest inhibitions of peace. I think that Jews and Muslims and Christians should all be allowed to go to the Temple Mount. Right now, Muslims do not allow Jews to go into the Temple Mount. One rabbi is allowed to go in once a year. That's it. That's the treaty. Why is that? How is that fair? Why are Jews not allowed to go? But it's, I mean, Muslims are allowed to go to their holy sites. You just said you were allowed to go.
Okay, but some people, it doesn't mean that other people aren't allowed to go.
And if that's the case, then I'll totally denounce it. But you are a living example that you were allowed to go now.
Yes, thank you. Hello. I wanted to talk to you about Palestine versus Israel. And I'm a Jordanian Christian, but I was born in this country. I'm a proud American. But I wanted to know how you can defend our country funding billions of dollars into a foreign government aiding genocide.
So do you mean the money that we send to the Palestinian Authority?
No, the ones that we sent to the IDF.
Okay, so you know we spend money to the Palestinian Authority as well, right? Yeah, billions.
Okay, how?
We give them cash.
We give them, I know, you guys claim to give them care packages and stuff like that, but why are we still defending the IDF?
No, I want to make sure we're morally consistent. So do you agree that we should cut money off to both Israel and the Palestinian Authority?
Yes.
Okay, cut off to both. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're from Jordan, and so you know the region very well. If you look at the Palestinian Authority, let's just take Lebanon, okay, versus Israel. Which country is more moral or a better place for people to live?
Wait, what? Okay, first, why is that a question? If it's a foreign land, why are we the ones dictating?
No. You have to get our moral. We have to
Okay.
get our moral symmetry right,
Our
and then
moral
we could
symmetry.
determine foreign aid. Again, in the Middle East, because for whatever reason, a country the size of New Jersey, with half the world's Jews, gets all the attention of campus activists.
Yes.
And so, yet there's civil wars in Africa, the slaughter of Druze in Syria, from the annexation of Armenia from Azerbaijan, gets no campus energy. So I just want to understand, just so we're morally clear, where is the best place for a woman such as yourself to live? In Tel Aviv, or in Beirut, Damascus, Amman, or Cairo? Where is it better for a woman to live in the Middle East?
I've been to many of these locations, and I just want to let you know that that's an unfair question, because by us funding Israel, they are bombing Lebanon.
Oh,
they are
no.
bombing other
We'll get there.
countries.
I just want to know, based on the laws and the customs that
Yes.
Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, the country you're not born in, but that you have ancestry from, Egypt, all have, where is it better for women to live? In those four places or in Tel Aviv?
That is, again, no, that's very hard to say. Again, because
Have any of those four countries ever had a female prime minister?
why would that matter?
Because Israel has.
Yes, but
Because I find it
Jordan-
interesting that I'm not saying you're on the left, but the campus activists are always about women's rights and women's empowerment. Yet the only country that has actually ever done that in the Middle East is Israel, interestingly enough. But I mean, let me just ask this. Do you think Israel is the good guy in this equation and the other countries are not so good? How would you mark the moral grade here?
I believe Israel is the bad guy. They're using religion as an excuse to take over land. It's a government. Zionism is not Judaism.
So, and then what exactly is Islam doing then?
Well, that's why Islam versus Judaism, that's what the Western media believes is happening, that Jews are fighting Muslims, which is not true. It's a government fighting over another government for land, and they're using religion as an excuse. Why are the IDF soldiers fighting Christian people during Easter? They're not allowing them to go into church.
Actually, that's not true. So let's talk about that. That's a lie. What happened on Easter in Israel?
They were not allowing the...
What was unique about this Easter?
What do you mean what was due to come up? Like, people wanted to worship through
Catholic, Protestant, and Orthodox Easter all fell on the
Orthodox.
same day.
Okay,
So therefore, there was a huge surge of Christians to the Holy Church of the Holy Sepulchre, of which, if you're ever in the Holy Sepulchre, they fight over every square inch of that place. So the IDF came in to actually protect the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and make sure that all these Christians don't start tearing their hair out on the holy day. Just so we're clear.
If the Oh, sorry, I don't mean to
No,
interrupt
you are actually believing the Arab press in the Middle East, where no one is being denied access to holy sites. And I do have to wonder, so you're a Christian, you know the area well. Do you feel safe as a Christian? You're a Christian, right?
Yes.
Going to Bethlehem.
Yes, we are Christians.
But do you know who controls Bethlehem?
Who Christians?
The Arab Muslims control Bethlehem.
And when have they stopped Christians from going
all the
into
time.
churches?
Oh my goodness, it's incredibly
Everyone
dangerous.
here is arguing about this, but no, you guys are all believing things that you see all
No,
over TikTok.
no. It's
a lot of people are like you say. I'm believing Arab media, but a lot of people are believing Western media. Don't you
Okay.
think it's possible for both sides to be lied to?
The Western media is very anti-Israel, for the record. Let's do one final thought experiment, and then we can talk about money. If Israel laid down all of its weapons, what would happen?
If Israel laid down all of its weapons. Okay, they are committing a genocide and wait.
How
please.
dare you say, no, I got to put, what is a genocide?
A genocide is when you are taking over a land and killing the people senselessly. Just
Was October 7th a
ethnic
genocide?
cleansing. Okay.
Answer the question. When 1,300 Jews were killed in their homes, kibbutzes, and a music festival, was that a genocide?
No, because no.
By your own definition, it is.
It was a terrorist act. But it was a terrorist act, but this was all planned by the governments. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
No. You got to tell me, why was October 7th not a genocide, but what Israel is doing is a genocide?
Israel has the Iron Dome. Why? They could have easily protected the festival. They could have easily protected their people, but they let this Hamas, this little...
They let them in.
They let them in on purpose, yes.
Really?
Yes.
So you think the Israeli government allowed Hamas terrorists to come and kill 1,300 innocent civilians, take hostages, and go into kibbutzes?
They needed an excuse to do that to the Palestinians.
What is your evidence of this claim?
Why are they claim to want Hamas. They claim to want
No, what is your evidence that Israel
would
would butcher 1,300 of its own people? The worst killing of Jews since the Holocaust. What is your evidence of that?
Look, I don't want to sound rude or offensive towards you, but I'm explaining throughout the news why is, again, they have the Iron Dome. They have they have billions of dollars in defense. They have millions of dollars in military, and they have the power to stop. They allowed the Hamas group to go in.
There is no evidence to your claim. They penetrated.
There's no evidence to your claim.
No,
either.
hold on
We're
a second. Hold on a second. Let's talk about how much you know about this. What was special about October 7th? What was the holy day in Judaism?
Okay. I don't want to misspeak. That's the thing.
It's called Shemat Torah, which is like the third holiest day in Judaism. So like half the country takes off. Think about like Christmas and Easter combined times 2. What else? What day of the week was it when it happened?
Again.
No, it's very important. What day of the week?
May you answer, please?
What day of the week?
Again.
Saturday. What happens on Saturdays in Israel?
Worship,
It's Shabbat.
yes.
The whole country goes to rest. 95% of the country takes off. So they have a holy day and they have Shabbat. The IDF, yes, they took it easy. And so what your belief is that, no, that they weren't necessarily celebrating their holy day and that they were on Shabbat, but the Israeli government allowed terrorists to come and kill their own people?
You're giving
you have to
too
prove
much
that.
credit to governments. You think that the government wants to protect its people. They will sacrifice the people for the for the greater good. You're giving way too much power to allowing the government to do it.
No, you have to prove these claims. I want
know.
you.
Well, I know that I came here to hear your opinion on how you can defend Israel. I didn't come to argue because I know I don't have the information to tell you right now. I just got out of class. But I do want to hear your opinion, please. I wanted to hear.
It's very simple. Israel's not a
country?
perfect country.
My
But for
question-
whatever reason, the obsession about where half the world's Jews live, which happens to be a small outpost of freedom and liberty with lots of problems, surrounded by literally 1 billion Muslims, that this is our number one focus geopolitically, that people use the word genocide, and you won't use the word genocide when Jews are killed,
No.
but you do use the word genocide when Palestinians are killed,
please.
shows the moral confusion on this topic. And would you say what's happening in Armenia right now is a genocide?
Look, you are very good at doing this, but I want to explain to you. Look, I want to explain to you my side. Okay, you still didn't answer my question in the original question. How can you defend our government sending billions of dollars to a foreign government?
Yes. Okay. So
we
just to
both
be clear,
agreed both should be cut off.
so you believe all foreign aid should be cut
We
off.
should not be involved in other countries. No.
Period. Okay.
Yes.
So you believe in America only.
Yes, I want
Okay.
our country to succeed. We should be
So,
spending the billions on
got it.
Americans.
So I believe we should limit a lot of foreign aid. I don't believe in America only. Was it a good thing that America got involved in World War II?
Wait, what? Sorry.
Was it a good thing that America got involved in World War II?
I honestly just wanted to hear your opinion. Because
It's an important moral question because you say no foreign aid. Was it good that we got involved in World War II?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not America only. In
No.
fact, you're okay with America sent aid
you think
to
that
the
the
Allies?
Jews are in trouble when they're not. They're bombing the Zionists, the IDF, are bombing hospitals. They're bombing schools. They're not bombing
Hold on a
Hamas
second.
places.
Again, there's so much wrong here, but where does Hamas actually keep their weapons?
I'm sorry, they're being loud. I can't hear you.
I won't even get into that. So, Israel, if Hamas laid down all of its weapons,
Yes.
what would happen?
If both sides lay, or just Hamas.
Let's say just Hamas.
Hamas doesn't have they don't have the weapons that Israel does. So if they don't have Israel, no.
Guys, you're not debating,
angry. Don't be
please.
angry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What were
It's
we
okay.
saying? I'm not trying to be
I encourage you to
disrespectful
think
towards you.
deep. I'm not. No, you're not. I don't care. You can say whatever you want to me. I don't care. I want you to think deeply about this.
Yes.
Because there is a moral confusion happening in the West when it comes to Israel. No one is saying they're perfect. I'm sick and tired of talking about Israel all the time. I happen to be a Christian that loves Israel and actually cares about the fact that I was able to go to Capernaum where Jesus walked on the water, see where Jesus rose from the dead, to go to Hebron. Let me finish. That I was able to go to the holy sites and to be able to walk the streets of the old city. I actually appreciate
And
that.
thank God, so have I. But I'm explaining to you the
Okay,
difference.
I'm finishing.
I'm sorry.
No, it's but when Muslims take over countries, Christians are not able to always easily navigate or visit them. That is a fact of life. And the final thing is this, is it Israel's values or is it Hamas's values that are a closer fit to the West? And it's not even close. Israel is a small outpost of civilization in an endless ocean of tyranny. You don't have to love Israel. You don't have to wear the flag. You don't even have to support sending it money. But at the very least, you must at least have the moral clarity and the integrity to say, they're not the enemy here. They're defending themselves, and they have a right to exist and a right to be able to broker this war as a war of self-defense as they choose. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Are you? Yeah. I just wanted to get your opinion on the funding of AIPAC and the alleged buying out of the U.S. Congress, especially with everything going on overseas and the highly criticized and debated two-party state between Israel and the Palestinian people.
My opinion of AIPAC?
How would you curb or resolve the issue? Not just AIPAC. We have our own domestic issues, but they're coming in and earning $28 billion for their donation of $43.5 to the U.S. Congress. So our foreign, our proxies and our donations to Ukraine and the state of Israel.
So how would I curb that?
Yeah.
I mean, well, look, understand, AIPAC is constituted of Americans that are advocating for a foreign policy thing they care about. And it's a very dangerous road to be on. There are groups of Armenians that advocate for the recognition of the Armenian genocide. There are groups of American Indians that recognize for better relations with India. And it just so happens there are a lot of American Jews that argue for a very strong relationship with Israel. So can I better understand the question?
So how do you feel about America using Israel as a proxy? And the Apollo affair and Levant affair and the Gulf Wars and the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq.
Okay, there's a lot there. So how do I think of Israel as an ally? Is that what you're asking? Or?
As America using it as a proxy to keep a chokehold on the Middle East.
Well, I kind of reject the premise of that. I mean, I'm very pro-Israel. I don't think they're perfect. I think they do a lot that I wouldn't do and that I don't support. But I don't know. I would better argue that Israel is a complicated ally of the United States, but very necessary in the Middle East.
Yes. And why so?
For many reasons, for military technology sharing, for data sharing, for also they're a free society in an island of totalitarianism.
Yeah. So a Western power based on imperialism and imperialistic tendencies?
Well, not necessarily. No, I mean, they're their own sovereign country with their own elections, their own country, right? Do you think Israel has a right to exist?
I do, and I believe in a two-party solution, but I don't believe
two-state solution.
Two-state solution. But I don't believe in the genocide and displacement of 1.7 million Palestinian people. Because if you advocate for life, you advocate for all life around the world.
So let's make sure we get our terms right. Yeah. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but what is a genocide?
Mass killing of people.
Okay,
and a targeted mass killing of people.
Is that what Israel is doing?
Yes, most definitely.
How?
So you're telling me?
Hold on. Let's get back. Did Hamas then commit a genocide on October 7th?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me get there. Yes.
Based on your so both sides are committing genocide.
But since '48, we have the partition plan of 1947. We have the transfer agreement in 1933. There's so much that built up to it. The Warsaw Ghetto
Uprising. Okay, so it's justified to go into nurseries and.
No, they didn't do that. Where's your evidence?
No, they did.
Okay.
No, hold on, time out.
If you want to go to crimes, then I can pull up a list of
Where's the evidence? I can show you GoPro footage.
I'll show you footage.
Hold on a second. GoPro footage of hours uninterrupted of Hamas terrorists wearing GoPros going into rock concerts and indiscriminately women, kidnapping them and bringing them back to Gaza. If you'd like to watch that footage, you can. But you said, so I need a clear answer, just make sure I'm clear. Yeah. A genocide is the targeted mass killing of people.
Yes,
sir. So Hamas is guilty of genocide.
Yeah, but correlating up. Do you believe in? This is off topic. What?
No, I'm glad you said yes.
No, the Bill of Rights. Look.
So
the
therefore,
Second, Third, and Fourth Amendment. Do you believe in them?
Yes, the right to bear arms, the right not to have soldiers quartered, and the right to privacy. We can keep going. The right to fifth.
So as
right
Israel
against
has been
self-incrimination.
violating those for nearly the course of 100 years, how would you feel? If you invite someone into your home and you let them stay as a guest when they were oppressed.
Well, hold on a sec. So, first of all, the Second Amendment is not applicable outside of the shores of the United States. So, not sure where you're going with that. But I want to make sure let me just have you answer this final question.
Yes.
If a foreign power commits genocide against you, as you admit
Yes.
Hamas did, how should Israel respond?
Okay. Yes.
No, but so
look, I'm saying.
how should Israel respond? Genocide
they're
was committed
allowed to
against.
defend themselves most definitely, but not to the extent they have done. It's killing 65,000 people.
First of all,
1,200 and bombing civilian areas. 70% of their casualties are women and children, and the average age of a child in Gaza is 18 years old.
So first of all,
so where are we drawing the line and the shade of gray between black and white? Who's right? Who's wrong? We don't know.
well, who started it?
Israel, most definitely.
Hold on.
The Arab-Israeli war.
Hold on a second. Time
this
out.
has been going
on
for
October
50,
6th, the
yes.
day before, was there an act of war?
Yes, prior. Why do you think there's a group of resistance living there? When resistance
Okay, no, I can. So I just want to make sure I understand the argument that this has been a bubbling up conflict since the 1950s.
It has been prior to the 50s.
Let me answer your question. Israel got out of Gaza in the early 2000s.
Yes.
Gave it to Hamas.
But if they're still
Hold on.
ruling over.
Why were they not able to create a nice place in Gaza?
Because Israel is holding their materials and their right. It is illegal.
So do you
for
do you
them-
see a through line here, guys? And it's important though.
Will you let me
It's
add
always
something?
somebody else's
Don't
fault.
speak over me, please. Will you let me ask
Well, it
something?
actually is my deal, but that's
Okay,
fine. So
alright.
it is always somebody else's fault, right?
No,
so
I'm saying there's wrong on both sides, most definitely, but more on the side of Israel. It's unsanctioned and unreasoned to go and kill that many people for no reason.
well, give me the equation. I want to make sure I
Okay, you
understand.
believe in an eye for an eye, right?
Generally, but I just
Okay.
want to know the equation though.
So this is politics. They can negotiate. We can release prisoners. We can embargo
Which they
them.
are.
Okay, yeah, as going on.
And you
with the
admit
ceasefire.
Hamas uses civilians as human shields.
Absolutely not. I believe Israel does, and I have video footage of it.
It's difficult to debate if you're just on a completely different fact pattern. So let me just.
I will give you readings and
I'll
videos.
allow-
I see videos every day. I have family there. I see them literally
Yes,
get torn and ripped to shreds by Israeli missiles and them killing kids and animals in the street and fun and laughing. And they post their own war crimes.
None of those missiles
They document
were being
their,
launched
okay, regardless
prior
of missiles,
to October 7th.
A soldier, me versus you. If you're walking in the street with your family and I shoot you and post it on TikTok and laugh, is that not a war crime?
That's what Hamas did.
No,
against
that's
the
what
IDF.
Israel is doing.
I will not defend everything that every soldier has done, but I want to have one final question, which I think is important. If Israel laid down all of their weapons and
Yes.
said our military is no more, what would happen?
At this point in time, I don't believe they would come to a two-state solution after everything that's gone on.
No, that wasn't the question. If Israel disbanded its military,
Yes.
what would happen?
The Palestinians would take over, but they would
Oh,
let the Jews.
okay.
Listen, not forcefully. This is how they operate. This is how Muslims operate Islamically. They let them live under them in jizya. They tax them and they let them live, and they take that tax and give it back to them. How do you think the Ottoman Empire worked and lasted 600 years? How do you think the Golden Age of Islam lasted and it lasted for 300 years? Because this is history.
So no, I just want to make sure I understand. So they would just take over mostly peacefully.
No, most definitely peacefully, because that's what.
Can
their
you show
basis
me an
is.
example of Jews living peacefully under Islamic rule?
Most definitely.
Where?
When the Hamas had Israeli captives. Have you seen the
Israeli
prisoners?
captives
Yes.
they killed?
They're not killed.
There was a 9-month-old baby that just got returned home as
They're
a
not
corpse
killed.
by Hamas.
They're
No, but
not
I am
killed.
interested by what you're saying. So
Yeah.
it's again, this is why it's important on this topic to stay on the moral domain, because all of your numbers are wrong. 65,000 kids have not died, and it's
I didn't
just
say 65,000 kids. I said 65,000 Palestinians, and 1.7 million have been displaced, creating one of the largest refugee
none of that is correct, and that's okay.
Okay.
It's fraction. I don't believe in the numbers. However, the point is this: if Israel laid down its weapons,
Yes.
they would be eliminated.
No, they would not.
You just admitted they would take over Israel.
Now, when
If,
I say take
if
over, did I say
Hamas
kill
laid
you?
down their weapons, we would
Yes.
have peace.
Most definitely not.
Because
the
we-
Israelis would keep doing what they have been doing. They have the right to resistance. They have a ceasefire currently, but prior to that, when anyone else in the world,
the emotions of this topic are very high.
Yeah.
Obviously, my allegiance is first and foremost to America.
Yeah.
I'm interested in it just from a moral standpoint, though,
Yes.
which is, why is it, help me understand, there are well over 40 Muslim-majority countries in the
Yes.
world, over 1 billion Muslims. Israel is the size of New Jersey, and it has half the world's Jewry, about 7 million people.
Yep.
Why can't you just let Israel exist and leave it alone? Why the focus? Why the intensity? Why the anger?
There's no anger.
There's no anger?
Not from me. I'm talking about maybe other people.
Okay.
I don't hate anyone. I'm not displeased with anyone, but I don't believe in the unnecessary killing of people. That's not how we were raised.
I agree.
That's
that,
an American value and a conservative value.
I agree. That's
So-
why I think October 7th was the beginning of
Yes.
the unraveling of a lot of decency and conflicts.
But what do you think about all that spilling over prior? It's the same with the American Revolution.
I
they were
reject the
praised
premise.
for. You reject the premise?
I reject
Okay.
I mean, to
So-
say that they had no choice but to go and kill a bunch of babies. Let me actually challenge the point. If you were correct,
Yes.
and Hamas was trying to resist,
Yes.
why didn't they go attack military targets and instead they attacked civilian targets? That's what
I'm not a
terrorists
military
do, right?
operator. No? I don't know.
So if it was really like, hey, they wanted to resist, they should have went after IDF outposts and picked a fight with somebody their own size. They went after little kids in nurseries, in kibbutzes. And I think you
But
have a
did they
moral
not-
right. Hold on. You're very well read on this topic. You have
Yes.
family there. I think you have a moral obligation to watch the GoPro videos. They're public.
I've seen. I will show you footage
Hold on,
every
no.
day coming out of Gaza.
I've seen what
I
you've
will
seen.
show you everything.
But you
no,
equally
I don't
I'm
believe
talking.
you've seen
Wait,
what I've seen, because then you wouldn't talk this way.
no, I've seen what you've seen. But I want you to look at the guys that for 3 hours straight were watching GoPro videos, laughing, putting babies in.
Okay, show it to me or send me the
Yeah,
link.
no, I'm
I'll
happy
take
to.
it. Give
And
me
the fact
some.
you don't even know it exists is very telling, because that's why Israel has become so aggressive in return. And understand the background.
Yes.
Is that the Jewish people have still not repopulated themselves to the pre-Nazi Holocaust levels.
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust?
How many people do you think died
I
in the
don't know.
Holocaust?
That's why I'm asking. I get so many different options.
7 to
of
8
theory.
million is
They
usually
say
the number?
7 to 8 million. I've seen 6. I've seen 2. I've seen 3.
Okay, so what number do
So,
you believe? And why does it matter?
Did I live back then? That's in 1940, 1930s and 40s. What
Does
do you-
it matter?
No, I mean, regardless, it's a massive killing of them. But I
Was
don't
the
know how many
Holocaust
have
real?
died. How? Yeah, of course the Holocaust
good.
was real.
Then it shouldn't
But
matter.
how can you say they haven't repopulated to those times? How do you know?
Well,
Is there
again-
a record of the death?
Well, yeah, there is a record
Okay.
of the death, and so we know how many Jews that there were in the country and in Europe, and they have not yet been able to repopulate to those same equivalent numbers
Okay.
coming back. So I think we don't agree on anything, and that's okay. I would love to see an end to the killing. However, there needs to be let me ask you my 3-part question, okay? Do you believe anti-Semitism is real, wrong, and evil?
I believe it is wrong, and I believe it exists, and I believe it's evil.
Okay,
yes.
good.
But
And
what-
Israel has
what
right to exist?
defines-
Oh, it's a
well,
super
okay,
easy
well,
3-point question.
Let me pause right there and ask you.
It's not
What
that
defines a
complicated.
Semite?
A
And
Semite?
when did the term come about?
Well, a Semite
Yes.
comes from somebody from the Samaritan region,
Yes.
right?
Semitic peoples, which consist
Right.
of.
I could have finished the, answer. But yes, from the Samaritan region,
Yes.
that is a term that has largely been popularized in the last 1500. So let me be more specific. Anti-Jewish hatred.
There you go.
Is that fair?
Yes, that's
That's
more
evil,
reasonable.
wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Israel has a right to exist.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. And that since we posit that Israel has a right to exist, that we need to come up with some solution where all people can live
A
peacefully in the
two-state
region.
solution.
Okay. Or a one-state solution, or a 3-state solution,
Well,
right?
okay, then why can't they? If it's a one-state solution, why can't they live under the Palestinians peacefully, like they did previously?
I don't
can
speak
live
on behalf
among
of
them.
Israel, but if a group of people go and murder 1,200 of your own people for no reason, I don't think I'm going to give them the keys to Jerusalem.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you. But it seems, do you agree Iran's an evil?
I think that my
Oh,
priority...
a little hesitancy? Is Iran and Saudi Arabia both enemies of the West?
No, I don't believe
Wow.
that at all.
So Iran funding Hamas and Hezbollah is what? Would you say that? Good?
I think that...
Iran is the number one terrorist funder
I
in
think
the
the
world.
Palestinian people and the Lebanese people have the right to defend themselves from Israel.
Hamas is not defending themselves.
Yes,
They're
they
a
are.
terrorist organization targeting Jews,
they were
launching rockets into this nation state of Israel every single day.
Sorry.
Hamas is not Palestinian. Hamas and Hezbollah are terrorist organizations that are committed to the complete and total destruction of the rightful nation state of Israel.
That's completely untrue. Hamas...
We were there.
Hamas has repeatedly expressed acceptance of the two-state solution on the Okay, well, the terrorism that Hamas and Hezbollah are responsible for pales in comparison with the terrorism that Israel and the United States carry out on a regular basis.
Can I ask a question?
And furthermore, you say you're against wealth redistribution. So what do you think about billions of dollars of American taxpayers' money going to Israel
You mean
every
they
year?
buy U.S. weapons, there's not direct aid. Let me ask you a question. What happens to the families of terrorists in Palestine? Let's say there's a suicide bomber in the streets of Jerusalem. Did you know that there's a pay-for-slay policy where Palestinian families get a check every single month if they kill Jews? Did you know that? The Palestinian Authority,
That's the Palestinian Authority,
which Hamas is governed under because Israel, in the pursuit of peace, retreated from Hamas. Did Israel give up Hamas, yes or no?
The Palestinian Authority governs the West Bank.
What happened to the Gaza Strip? Did Israel used to occupy it, true or false?
Israel continues to occupy Gaza.
It's controlled by the terrorist state of Hamas. It used to be functioning factories. It used to be rolling hills and vineyards. And the Hamas, the terrorists, took it over.
That's completely untrue.
And built terror tunnels and launched rockets.
Hamas.
As soon as Hamas was democratically elected, Israel immediately imposed a crippling blockade.
The PA is democratically elected?
No,
Hamas is an international prescribed terror organization. Hamas is an international prescribed terror organization.
Sorry?
Hamas is an internationally prescribed terror organization.
No, it's not actually. It's
yes,
prescribed,
it is.
It's prescribed by a handful of Western countries, which support
including
Israel.
the one that you're in.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't uncritically
Intelligence
support the UK
agencies
government.
which are designed to serve the people of this country in America have prescribed Hamas. That should raise some serious questions in your head as to whether or not you should be supporting them.
I don't place limited faith in the intelligence services who said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
Okay, well, that's a completely separate topic of conversation.
Well, no,
that was
it's not,
UN's
because
weapons inspectors who said
you're defending
Iraq
the
had,
intelligence services.
that were UN weapons inspectors was Iraq who said they had weapons of mass
the
destruction.
UN weapons inspectors, no,
Yes,
they didn't.
yes, they did.
The UN
At the
weapons
time.
inspectors said Iraq did not have WMD.
John
so you're
Nefertiti,
supporting
who was the head
Iraq
of the UN's
war now.
weapons inspection.
So you say you're in favour of limited government, but you support the invasion of Iraq.
No, we're not even talking about that. We're talking about Hamas. Okay, you have just voiced support for Hamas and Hezbollah.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
No, I haven't.
You actually did.
Are
they a terrorist organization, yes or no?
Yeah, they've carried out acts of
Let's
terror,
just
but
watch
as I
some
said,
videos of the Iron
the acts
Dome
of terror that they've
intercepting
carried
rockets.
out pale in comparison with the acts of terror that Israel and the United States
Can you tell me
routinely
why the
carry
PA
out.
fund gives money to the terrorist
I don't
families?
support the PA. I've
Who
never
do you
defended...
support, Iran or?
No, I support human beings who are struggling for their right
Then
to
you
live
should
in
hate
dignity
Iran
and
because
peace.
Iran murders human beings that are gay and they throw them off the top of buildings. You should hate Iran.
Yeah, I don't support the Iranian government, but neither do I support Saudi Arabia, which is supported by the West.
We actually don't support Saudi that much either here, so.
Okay, and I also don't support a war against Iran, which you guys seem to.
Well, we do support sanctions and not sending them
Okay,
billions of dollars. So when
which
Iran says,
which is not limited government, by the way.
So can I ask-
sanctions
Hang on a
against
sec,
Iran?
hang on a sec. Who? So in the
Anarchy.
when the president of Iran comes out and says, "I want to wipe Israel off the map,"
He doesn't actually say that.
the Ayatollah Khamenei said that.
If you
Ahmadinejad actually said that.
Sorry, if you look at his statement,
Burn the American flag. It's
there's
regularly seen on
difference
TV.
between rhetoric and action. There's all sorts of inflammatory rhetoric, including
So we
from
just
the
don't
West.
trust the words
So
of
let
the
me
president
kind
of
of
Iran.
say two quick things. First of all, Ayatollah Khamenei, the head of Iranian's theocratic construction, essentially part of government, and the former president Ahmadinejad said death to Israel, death to the West, death to America multiple times. How do they act on it? Because you said it's just words. They give billions to Hamas. They give billions to Hezbollah. They support the bombing of Israeli children. They give money to PA that funds and incentivizes terrorist behavior. They refuse to condemn Hamas and Hezbollah any time under UN resolutions ever. They refuse to ever vote and say this is wrong. They actually fund BDS resolutions all across the world. They're outwardly anti-Semitic, not to mention outwardly anti-gay, anti-Christian, anti-Western. And finally, why does Iran want nuclear weapons so bad? Why? Because they want to act on their words to destroy Israel, destroy the West, destroy America. Iran is the fundamentally biggest and most sinister evil of everybody in this room, and if you have sympathy for it, I wonder why.
Okay, so
How are you, Charlie?
Yes.
Big fan, by the way. Absolutely love you. I agree with mostly everything you say, except for one thing. I don't agree with your overwhelming support for Israel, and I have a Christian argument for you about it. My issue with it is that Israel helps funds Turkey, military, sells them missiles that end up killing Armenian citizens. How do you justify that as a Jewish nation is helping another country eliminate a Christian race?
So I don't support that, but we have a deeper problem with Turkey beyond Israel. Turkey's part of NATO,
Yes.
so we give them money.
Yes.
So it's not an Israel problem, that's an America problem, right?
I agree.
So if your argument is against, which I'm no fan of Turkey, and I acknowledge the Armenian genocide for the record,
Yes.
which a lot of people get mad about, but I would put Israel aside to that for a second, because the arms they're selling are repurposed American arms usually. I don't know why Turkey should be part of NATO. I think Turkey should be kicked out of NATO for what they did to the Armenians, and they don't offer anything to America.
They don't.
Nothing. And Erdogan is a very, very bad guy who's becoming an Islamic dictator of a failing country. So I think it's an American problem. So I would put Israel aside on that.
But Israel also does sell them military aid.
So do we.
Yes. But
So we are the root cause of that, right?
okay, and then the second part of my question is, how does U.S. Gives a lot of benefits to Israel? How does Israel benefit us as a partner?
Well, first and foremost, you're a Christian.
Yes.
How do we know the Bible is true?
From the land of Israel, Palestine.
That's not Palestine.
You want me to put British Palestine? Does that help?
Well, as a Christian, so are you Armenian Christian?
No,
Or-
I'm actually Palestinian.
Okay. So what? And you're Christian?
Yes, I'm a Christian.
Okay. Well, praise God. I'm thrilled to hear that. So, but I think you can acknowledge that we as Christians have to honor the Jews. Do you believe that?
I think we should honor everyone. People are
Well,
people at the end of the day.
But in our scriptures, it does say that we should bless the Jews. That Genesis 12:3, bless those. I will bless those descendants that bless me. And we have a covenant with Israel. Do you share that as a Christian, that belief?
I think how as I interpret that is that, like, at the end of the day, like, we're all people. We should all be respecting and honor others. We should not be hating our neighbor. I don't know if that was me. Hating our neighbor. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So I guess you can like take it to the context of specifically talking about Jews, but I take it in the context of talking about everyone as a people, the entire nation. Because at that time when the Bible was written, there weren't 100 and how many countries. You know what I mean?
Yes and no. I mean, it does. Paul explicitly says that we should bless the Jews, and from it, we should honor the Jews. We're not going to agree on that. But so you say you're Palestinian. That's great. Do you think Israel has a right to exist?
Of course.
Okay, then we can agree.
Yeah.
That's a big statement. Do you think that anti-Semitism is real?
Of course.
Okay, great. Then I really don't have much to disagree with you on. Because the major issue is, does Israel have a rightful right to exist? I guess the question is, what would you consider to be Israel?
Well, how do you feel about the fact that we provided aid to Israel to where they ended up literally leveling Gaza? Do you think our money was in good use to do that?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the first question is, why did Israel do that? It's because Hamas went and killed 1,300 Jews on October 7th, unprompted, unprovoked, in the most horrendous way imaginable. And so Israel was responding in a way that they would respond. Hamas invited that. And I guess the question I would have as a Christian, do you think that it's better for Christianity to have Israel controlled by Jews or Israel controlled by Muslims? What's better for Christianity?
Okay, so I have a personal opinion on what I think would be more accurate. From my own personal experience, I've seen Muslims be more receptive to the Christian faith than Jews. That's my own personal experience. I have a personal opinion on what I think would be more accurate. From my own personal experience, I've seen Muslims be more receptive to the Christian faith than Jews. That's my own personal experience. But on top of that, there are, not only in Israel, there are thousands of churches all throughout the Middle East and Muslim-controlled countries that have been preserved for thousands of years now that get funding. So I don't think it's an argument on who would do it better, because they've both been doing it for thousands of years now.
Yeah, I mean, man, you can't walk the streets of Tehran or Riyadh and say Jesus is Lord. You can say that in Riyadh?
Yeah.
You could say Jesus is Lord?
Yes.
You could say Jesus is a prophet.
I've seen it personally.
They have evangelical churches in Riyadh. That's interesting.
No, but you can say that.
Part of my family.
I'll get to you next.
So part of my family's recent family that's married in is from Tehran. They're Iranian, and they've been Christian their entire life.
They are Shia Muslim.
No, they are Christian. They are Armenian.
Oh, okay.
And they've lived in Tehran their entire life. There's a big community of them. They have churches that they go every single Sunday. They are proud of who they are. They wear their crosses out. Not a problem. But let's go talk about Egypt, Syria, Jordan. They have thousands of churches there. They have big Christian faith over there. But they are Muslim majority countries and run by Muslims. and the churches are protected.
I mean, look, I don't want to. You think the Coptic Christians have been treated well the last 10 years? I mean, come on, man. I mean, there was a mass persecution of Christians over the last decade. They're leaving these countries. A lot of their heads are being cut off. I mean, it's terrible. And so
I agree. There's extremist Muslims.
Yes, but I would. The best argument you could make is that Jesus is revered in Islam as a prophet, but not the prophet.
Sure.
Right? That's the best argument you could make. But in practice, Islam is not compatible with open-air Christianity. They want you to kind of, at best, stay in your corner. At the very least, there is mass persecution. We're just going to disagree on the role of Israel. I think that the Jews should have a right to their own homeland, and I think that Muslims are able to have 40 Muslim majority countries. Why can't the Jews have one?
No, I'm not disagreeing.
No,
with
then we agree on that.
I want to run the gauntlet with Charlie Kirk, Israel, Palestine.
Okay.
So
let's go as fast as we can, though. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you want to run the gauntlet. So why don't you tell me what you believe on it? That's the best way to start.
Well, I was planning on starting. I just want to confirm your belief. Your belief is a one-state solution. Israel's that one state because Israel is the true indigenous people to that land, and therefore they have a right to that land.
I mean, I would say it's a little more complicated than that. Number one, I think Israel's existence is a miracle, not a mistake. The new creation of Israel, 1948, 46. Number two, Israel has a right to exist. And number three, its neighboring government structures are, at best, let's just say, annoyingly evil, at worst, largely illegitimate. And so, mainly the Palestinian Authority. But we could dive deeper into that. Of course, we would welcome a multi-state solution if they're actually acting like states similar to Jordan or similar to Egypt, not as terrorist proxies. Not to be too ideological on this topic. I am a Christian, so there is a theological undercurrent and element to it. But anyway, that's my position, and tell me yours.
Yeah, so I think my position is really, I think the question starts off a lot of the time with, does Israel have a right to exist? I reject that notion, or I reject that premise of the conversation. I think Israel does exist. Israel has won the right to exist. The question should be, and the focus should be, does Palestine have a right to exist? Or at the very least, do the Palestinian people have a right to self-determination?
Great. So let's pause there, if that's okay. I don't mean to interrupt
of
you.
course.
So what is Palestine? Who are Palestinians? And what geography are they entitled to?
Yeah, so the Palestinian people are the people that live in the land of Palestine. What is the land of Palestine?
Got it. So tell me, what is the land of Palestine?
Okay, so the land of Palestine is the region between Egypt and Syria. It was described by Herodotus as Palestina, and then it was derived off the term Peliset, which is part of the Sea peoples.
Herodotus was way after the creation of the nation of Israel, right? So everything from Egypt to Syria, that would that include?
No, between Egypt and Syria, between the Jordan River and...
Let me list off a couple things. Does that include Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Hebron, Capernaum?
Yeah, all those areas.
So
yeah.
so the modern state of Israel is what it incorporates.
Israel is located on the geographical region of Palestine.
So just so we are clear, Palestinians, and we have to define who those people are.
I'd love to do this.
Yeah. Do they have a moral right to set up a government in Tel Aviv?
In Tel Aviv? I don't know.
Well,
I don't think...
You're the one contesting it, so tell me.
So I don't think... So I actually don't think right now, I don't think that's where it's going to go. I think Tel Aviv is the current core of the Israeli state right now. I think if any Palestinian state is going to be established, it's going to be... based around Gaza or the territories in the West Bank. But I think, what's it called? Sorry, I'm hearing this at the same time. Yeah. So, but I'm glad you brought this up because I think your position is that Palestinians as a people group, as an ethnic group, what do you think? Do you see them as a nation?
I need you to tell me, well, it depends. You need to tell me who they are and what does it incorporate. So is every person in Jordan a Palestinian?
No, not every person.
Well, okay, but who are the Palestinians? Because most of them are Jordanian refugees.
So the Palestinians are the people that lived in Palestine. I'm going to expand on that. Are you ready? So the first people, they're the people, the Canaanites, thousands of years ago, that mixed. I'm getting to. Trust me, I'm smarter than you think about this. I'm not.
You got to go quicker. You're losing the audience. So
the Canaanites.
They're already calling for another question. You got to go quicker.
The Canaanites mix in with other groups of people. The Palestinian Christians. Okay, the first people to convert to to Christianity? Where were they? They were in the land of Israel, right?
No, you're right. Israel, not Palestine. You're right.
Yeah, okay, they were in the land of Israel.
You just said it was Israel, not Palestine.
Yeah, I know. But listen, okay, so those people, so they were the Jews and the indigenous people at that time, right? That converted? Okay, and there's still Christians in that land today, right?
Decreasingly so, but yes, of course.
Okay, so aren't the Palestinian Christians the most indigenous to that region?
No, because the Jews predated them, right? I mean, the land of Canaan, or Judea and Samaria, has been the Jews for well over 5,000 years. Well, yeah, ish. 4,000 years. And so, again, we can go all the way back to the Mesopotamians, but the most rightful claim to the land is that of the Jews. Let me go back to one final question, though. Let me understand. There are 45 plus Arab majority, Muslim majority countries in the world.
Yes.
Why does one Jewish majority country get so much attention, including your advocacy?
Yes. There's 20 plus Bantu majority countries in Africa. Does that give the black Americans the right to go and return to their homeland and establish a state? No, because when they did do that, when they tried to establish Liberia, they set themselves up as the ruling class. They pushed the indigenous Liberians into the interior, and they eventually got investigated for forced labor practices
it was a
in 1929.
disaster by President Monroe. I will acknowledge that. But that doesn't answer. I just want, what would you consider to be a resolution to what's happening in the region? We'll end with that.
Okay, so I think Israel, they should, of course, I don't think a peaceful future will exist with Hamas. So I think
Credit to you. That's a morally clear statement.
So I think Israel's focus should be on that. For one, destroying the tunnel networks, getting the hostages back, using their intelligence network that they used in all these decades to assassinate neo-Nazis on all different continents. The Hamas leaderships in different countries focus on the leadership, focus on unconventional means to take out Hamas. And then, you know what? Work with the Palestinian Authority. It's corrupt. I will acknowledge you that. But you know what? It's better than the terrorists.
I find very little to disagree with that. We'll have to take this discussion on at another time. Thank you very much.
I would love to.
Thank you. God bless, man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
I think that the determination of the Israeli capital should be something that should be settled in a Israeli-Palestinian bilateral negotiation for the creation of a Palestinian state, which is something that the Palestinian people should be able to have. They should be able to have freedom. They should.
So they do have freedom. What freedoms do the Palestinian people not have right now?
Well, I mean, currently.
Name one freedom.
Have
you been to the West Bank?
Something they lack, freedom of movement.
Sure they do. An Arab in the Palestinian Authority can travel to Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, in and out with any sort of restriction. I've been to Judea and Samaria. I've been to Hebron. I've been to the Golan Heights. As a Christian, thankfully, I'm allowed in there. You know, all my Jewish tour guides and my IDF friends as Jews are not allowed in the West Bank. Why? So what freedom don't they have?
Well, you know.
No, I don't know. Can you name one freedom that the Palestinian people do not have?
Look.
Or is that just a talking point with no evidence?
Look, sophistry aside for both of us, there's an imbalance here between between Israel and Palestine that the current Israeli government.
What imbalance? Can you build it out for me? Because you haven't been able to name a freedom they don't have. Did you know that the Israeli government gave up the Gaza Strip in pursuit of peace in 2006? And it was immediately taken over. 10,000 Jewish settlers left the Gaza Strip in pursuit of peace in 2006, and it was immediately taken over by the terrorist group Hamas, which is one of the richest parts of Israel. Israel gave it up voluntarily because they thought it would give them peace, and the PA didn't give it to them. So what freedoms does the PA not have?
Look, I mean, honestly,
this is really important because you come up here and say Ilhan Omar said nothing wrong. You make a factless, evidence, totally absent of evidence statement. The Palestinian people don't have freedom. Say one thing, please. Defend yourself. So,
look, I came out here not completely prepared.
Well, it's because it doesn't exist. So here's the thing: the talking point is factless. The Palestinian Authority exists as a governance structure over now what is truly Judea and Samaria, which has always been Israel. Do you know where the word Palestine comes from? You probably don't.
Arabia Palestiniana,
no,
which was the Roman
Philistine.
province.
It's Philistine, which is which is a Roman term, which only goes back about 1,400 years. Israel has always been the home of the Jews, dating back for 3,500 plus years. Israel is mentioned over 635 times in the Torah. Jerusalem has zero religious significance in the Quran at all to the Arab Muslim people, yet it's mentioned 637 times. Yet under Israeli control, the Arabs and the Muslims still get total and complete access to their holy sites. Yet where the Arabs control areas, the Jews are not allowed to visit there whatsoever. Why is it the Palestinian Authority pays the families of terrorists that kills Jews? They have a pay-for-slay policy. Thank God that President Trump just finally defunded it. I encourage you one thing. Don't believe the facts and the narrative that are just coming from the media, because you're just wrong here, and you obviously can't defend your position. Go and visit the West Bank yourself. You'll see the facts up and close. Yes, sir.
How are you doing today, man? How you doing? How you doing?
Padres are good this year.
Yeah, they are. And I just want to start off by saying I have no disrespect to any other religion. I respect all religion. This is more of a question for you and whether or not you can confirm this. The Talmud states that Jews are the chosen people and all non-Jews are goyim, here to serve them. You are a Christian who's clearly serving the Jews, defending Zionism with all you got. But you also believe Jesus is a rabbinic Jew in heaven when you know the Talmud states he's in hell burning in feces.
Okay, so you're a Talmudic expert, right? Which Talmud is that in, Jerusalem or Babylonian?
I'm talking about Jerusalem, sir.
Oh, that's the Jerusalem, which actually is not as divinely inspired. Which one's longer and how long is it? Don't look at your phone, look at me in the eye.
I'm
No,
not
come
really
on.
aware.
You said that I'm a tool of the Jews, so look at me in the eye like
I
a
never
man.
said I'm talking about the Talmud.
No, you accused me of saying like you're a Zionist or something, right?
I mean, do you support Israel?
Yes, of course I do. Yes.
Okay, that's good for you. But that's another thing. You're an advocate for the military in America.
Hold on, time out,
But
time
then
out, time
you
out.
agree with Israel's war crimes. What's up with that?
Oh, war crimes. We'll get into that, but let's be more specific.
Yeah.
What is your point here of dragging up a multi-thousand-year text that you don't know, that you haven't read?
I mean, it's
you
your
have not
religion.
even. Have you
You're gonna
purchased the
agree with
Talmud? Have you read the Talmud? What is the Talmud? Tell me the difference between the Torah, the Tanakh, and the Talmud. Go ahead.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know.
But
That's pretty important. Time out.
that's
So
why I'm-
what you did is you cherry-picked something on the internet that makes Jews look bad, but you can't tell me the difference between the Torah and the Tanakh and the
I'm
Talmud.
not trying to make the Jews look
No,
bad.
no, but
What I'm trying to tell
this
you-
is ridiculous. This is for clickbait. Let me tell you the difference. The Torah is the books that we as Christians acknowledge. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, the most holy scriptures in Judaism. The Tanakh is also our Old Testament, right? That's Joshua, Judges, 1st and 2nd Kings, Hezekiah, Nehemiah, Ezekiel. The Talmud are rabbinic debates spanning over 500 years, of which there's the Babylonian and the Jerusalem Talmud. The Babylonian is actually more inspired. It's 2.5 million words. The Jerusalem is lesser inspired, and they disagree on all sorts of stuff, and they pick it up. Those are people that would they say, well, I
that's why
disagree
I'm
with that.
asking you if
No,
you
but hold on a
agree or
second.
not.
But it's very important. You don't even know the stuff that you're bringing up to this event.
That's why I'm asking you.
No.
agree?
It's really important because what you're trying is like this context. You're a tool of the
It's
Jews,
just-
and I read this thing. But
It's
let's just make this
a-
very clear.
Sir, it's an agree to a disagreement. I'm not here
It's
to
not agree to
argue.
disagreement.
Do you
It's
agree
very
with what
clear.
it
Is
said
that
or not?
you don't even know the stuff you're bringing up to make
So
someone
that's why
look
I'm
bad.
asking you,
Okay, again, in closing, just like
we agree to
if
disagree.
Israel dropped down all their weapons, what would happen?
I believe Hamas will drop down and we'll leave in peace. If Israel dropped down all their weapons, I'm in hope that Hamas will do the same. In hope. I can't hope for no war. I'm in hope.
Hamas's charter is the elimination of the Jewish state.
I'm in hope that Hamas will drop all their weapons. I'm in hope. I'm in hope that this war stops in general.
No one likes what's
Nobody
happening.
likes war.
However,
You
we
don't,
must
I
be
don't.
morally clear why it started.
Yeah.
What was the beginning of it? What was the genesis? And the
Yeah,
genesis
yeah.
was Hamas on one of the holiest days on the Jewish calendar, which is Samat Torah. They decided to go on Shabbat,
Okay.
not to attack military bases,
Okay.
not to go after the IDF. They went into homes. They went into kibbutzes. They went to music festivals. They took hostages. And guess what? When they went back to Gaza, they were celebrated as heroes. They threw rave parties for these terrorists. They weren't like, whoa, this is kind of
What Hamas
wrong.
is doing is bad. What Israel
I
is
agree,
doing is
but
bad
there's a
as
much
well.
deeper cancer and a rot happening in Gaza than just
It's
Hamas.
I can say the same thing about Israel.
Really?
I just can't.
How could you say that?
I just can't.
Do you know that there are Arab members of the Knesset? Are there Jewish members of the Gaza or Palestinian Authority? You know that there's an Arab member of the
Okay,
Israeli
Charlie
Supreme Court?
Kirk, I understand, man.
No, this is important because I don't like, again, I'm an America First guy, but I'm also a truth seeker. And I
Okay.
don't like to see the singular
sir.
Jewish state of half the world's Jewry maligned and slandered every single day
I'm
for
not
no good
slandering
reason.
them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a disagreement about the whole Palestine-Israel thing. I promise not to take up as much time as the last person who was up here. But I'd like to open with maybe like a little statement, which is that, I'm not too partial to either particular side of the political spectrum. But I think that a sad reality is when we talk about the Palestine issue, it's the Gaza Strip is 50% people under the age of 15. It's about 2 million people and about 5 to 25 square miles. And the reality of it is that Israel has said they're going to make a complete siege of the area. They've cut off electricity, they've cut off water, and that's kind of a sad reality. And the reality is they also can't leave. There's only 2 ports of entry and exit. And so as much as you or others might be pro-Israel, how do we not condemn the Israelis for taking away resources like water from a population that's the majority children? And at what point do we say that it's kind of an open genocide, right? Like when Israel, well, I mean, I know it's easy to...
You realize on Saturday they killed 900 Jews, right?
I understand. I understand.
One side's doing the genocide, the other side is retaliating.
Well, one side's definitely swinging up and one side's swinging down. And I think that when you're a strip of land in which all of your water, airways, and electricity is controlled by a state, which you can't leave, and it gets bombed by missiles, I don't really think it's quite equivocal. I mean, obviously everyone here can condemn the killing of civilians, and that's not a debate that I'm going to have with anybody, left or right.
Sure.
But at what point or time, you say you criticize Republicans, but why don't we ever criticize Israel for what they're doing by turning off water? I mean, how? Well,
I'm not going to criticize. Again, let me just ask a hypothetical. If Cuba came to Miami and killed 50,000 Americans, should we cut off their water? Answer the question.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, I disagree.
You think we should cut off water to people?
If the Cuban government came and killed 50,000 Americans, which is the population equivalent, right? Sure. So 900 Jews would be 50,000 Americans.
Yeah.
I would completely support war against a country that kills 50,000 Americans. Cuba is the same, about similar distance, right? So yes, I would restrict food, water. It would be all-out war against a country that touched our homeland.
Well, you know what they call all-out war against a populace of people that are stuck in an area? It's a genocide, right? And so as much as I agree...
No, hold on a second. No. First of all, if that was the case, why is Israel telling civilians to leave a certain area, number one?
Well, only that are allowed to leave,
hold on a second.
Right?
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, what?
Like, are Palestinians allowed to leave the Gaza Strip?
Well, they're moving to a different location of the Gaza Strip before bombardments happen. That's number one. Number two, they're already talking about humanitarian corridors being built. Did you know that? They're talking about humanitarian corridors being built with Egypt. So there's already a plan from both the Mediterranean side and the south side. But honestly, I'm not going to overly specify this because war is a really brutal, nasty thing. And you could say whatever you want about Israel. We're not going to agree on it, right?
Sure.
Israel did not invite this war.
No, I don't think so either.
Right, but they have to retaliate, and war is the worst thing humans do. Here's my prayer, that Israel doesn't overreact. Americans don't send troops, and that this is short, and that the terrorists that did this are held to justice. That's what we need to publicly say. But I am not. And you're right. There are kids that are going to die. That pains me. The heaviness should be on you. But the answer is you just kind of roll over and allow people to come into your country, into kibbutzes, into concerts, and mowing down people and say, catch you next time?
I'm just not entirely sure what water has to do with the conflict, Mr. Kirk. I just don't see how the Israelis, the Palestinians, the PLO, and Hamas
honestly,
can use water.
Two things. Here's the issue. The Palestinian Authority is too busy spending $300 million a year incentivizing the slaying of Jews instead of actually going and purchasing water filtration services, all sorts of different things there. Number two, so they build their headquarters under hospitals. It's a fact. They use the entire population of women and children in Gaza as a massive 2.5 million person human shield. That's sick. There are no good solutions here. There's not one that I'm going to say this is wonderful and beautiful and glamorous and this is excellent. It's all crummy. It's all hell. And they invited hell. And something that we like to gloss over as Westerners is we get to live in a very peaceful society, relatively, and we don't realize that sometimes you need a Dresden. And that's a really hard thing to swallow. But guess what? What we did in World War II to defeat the Nazis was 100% morally defensible. And there were people that also died. Israel has a right to defend themselves, and they're going to retaliate. And Hamas, they brought this upon themselves. They were the stewards of those women and children. And as stewards of those women and children, they said, we don't care about the women and children enough that we're going to go into the other. They knew what was. You're trying to tell me that they're shocked that they're getting bombarded and their water's cut off and their electricity is cut? No, they invited it.
I'm a progressive, and I would like to have some discourse with you over the Israel-Palestine conflict. I'm just going to say I fully condemn Hamas, and my current position is that there should be a one-state solution where it's anti-apartheid. However, there should be the international community with the United Nations should be responsible for leading the peace process. And personally, I think the Hamas and the Israeli government are essentially two sides of the same coin.
You were doing so well.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm not good with public speaking.
No, I just mean the points. The speaking is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think with the recent conflict, of course, what Hamas did was terrible. However, I think it's very important to understand the context of why they did it. They're very radical, and that radicalization has essentially formed from the Israeli government bullying the Gaza Strip for the past 50 years and obstructing their freedoms.
Okay. Let me just ask, so thank you for condemning the attacks. I wish we had every member of Congress that could do that. However, let's just make sure we have our stuff clear. You say the Israeli government and Hamas are the same side of a coin, right?
Maybe there's some differences, yes, but
okay, yeah. Well, the differences are pretty big. So let me just go through the last 2 weeks, and I want you to just at least acknowledge it or not acknowledge it. Hamas gave no warning before they slaughtered 1,300 women and children. Israel did multiple days of warnings and dropping leaflets before they dropped any bombs on civilian corridors. Is that moral equivalency?
Well, I think, of course, I think Hamas is much worse.
Okay, good. So they're not the same coin. Got it. So, because you said they're
similar coins, maybe the penny and the nickel.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's go to the next question. Let's go to the next kind of.
Well, okay.
Element.
So, I think that. So, as I said earlier, I think the international community should get more involved. A while ago, I read the book "Palestinian Peace, Not Apartheid" by President Jimmy Carter, and the book essentially boils down to three things. The Israel country and its borders should be respected. I agree. Palestinians and Jews should coexist peacefully, and they shouldn't be killed, which is the third thing. I think.
So, okay, I got to interrupt.
Well, okay, sorry.
No,
I'm so sorry.
All right, no, it's okay. So let me just I want to try to get this along to some sort of clarity, if not agreement. Who's a bigger impediment to peace, Israel or Hamas?
I think the biggest impediment is the reactionary politics and reactions between the two groups. Hamas had been radicalized by the Jews, or rather the Israel government, which had been radicalized by the history of Arabs killing Jews.
I got to cut you off, man. Wait, what? Like you said, Hamas is radicalized by the Israeli government.
Well,
they're radicalized by Islam, not by the Israeli government. Islam is what radicalized Hamas. Not everything goes back to the Jews, man, right?
Well, no. I'm sorry. So I think, the conflict essentially boils down to its history. The Arabs killed a bunch of Jews in its history. The Jews killed a bunch of, through the Zionist movement, through colonialism, and during. Okay.
All right. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just want to ask one final question. Is if Hamas would lay down all of before this massacre, okay, would have laid down all of their weapons, what do you think would have happened? And if Israel laid down all of their weapons, what do you think would happen?
So I'll address the second part. If Israel lays down all its weapons, I think terrorist groups such as Hamas and the Palestinian Authority would use this opportunity to kill a bunch of Israelis.
I agree. So we have clarity on that. So, great. Before the massacre, because heightened tensions. If Hamas would have laid down their weapons and Gaza would have laid down their weapons, what do you think would have happened?
I think the Israel government would try to essentially do something similar, where they would try to push out all of the Palestinians. As
we would have
I do
peace,
not think they
is what
have
we would
freedom
have.
movement.
So we're not going to agree on this. Let me just make a couple points. Israel, time and time again, has sat down for peace. Abraham Accords, Oslo Accords, Camp David Accords, which was facilitated. At every corner, Israel has given up land, Sinai Peninsula, parts of the West Bank, parts of Judea and Samaria, in the pursuit of peace. And I just encourage you, and you've been intellectually honest, but I want you to think about this, and anyone who might agree with you, that these are not morally equivalent. You have one side that has a democratically elected government that allows pluralism in the Knesset, Arab, Judaism. In Gaza, they are one size fits all. Hamas took over power, was voted into power, and the stated doctrine of Hamas is no morally different than Nazism. It's not an exaggeration. It's not about land. It's not about winning hearts or souls. It's about killing Jews. And the issue is this. Well, more than the issue, is that Hamas now invited this conflict, okay? And this is where my sympathy kind of wanes down to little next to nothing, is that there was at least some form of an equilibrium. They were in Gaza, Israel is in Israel, and on a holy day in the 50-year anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, they decided to go into kibbutzes, which I know that you denounce. But at that point, they're going to F around and find out, and Hamas should be obliterated for that action. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I was going to ask you, you think that Israel should displace the Palestinians from Palestine to Egypt and Jordan?
It's a tough question. I will say this, guys. I'm happy to do the whole afternoon on Israel, but let's try to get at other questions. But
that's what I'm. That's
I'm
what
not blaming you. I'm just saying to the audience.
Yeah.
It's a difficult question. I don't know what the solution is. I don't.
So you think it's right for them to ethnically
I'm not saying it's
cleanse
right.
them?
I'm saying the solution is very difficult because the people of Gaza have shown that they are incapable of self-government.
Sure.
Incapable. That when they are given self-government, it becomes a terrorist hotbed, and it becomes a nightmare for the Jewish people, and war ensues. So I don't know what the...
Right, but my question here is, do you think it's ethnic cleansing to forcibly tell them to get out of Gaza?
Again, I'm not even saying I support
it. Because this is what Trump said.
I know what Trump said. I'm not even saying that I think that's a good idea. I do want someone to tell me what the solution is, though. Because that's an idea.
Yes, Egypt actually offered the solution, but Trump was against it.
What would you say the solution is?
The solution is to have an Arab state to govern them, basically, and for Hamas not to be in control. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So we had something close to that, though, for years, where Gaza was controlled by Hamas. Gaza democratically elected Hamas.
In 2006, that's correct.
Yeah,
but they weren't able to democratically elect again after 2006.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Because the people liked it.
It's not because people liked it. It's because they didn't have any other choice but to do that.
We don't know. You might be right. I might be right. I think I'm right. Let me tell you why.
Okay, why?
Because when the terrorists went and killed a bunch of Jews on October 7th.
Yes, I know that a lot of people were happy to see. Yes, and why? Why is that? Why is that? Because it didn't start on October 7th. It didn't start on October 7th.
Yeah, but this is where we're going to disagree.
Okay.
So I look at things in the term of right and wrong,
sure,
and just and unjust, not oppressor or oppressed. A different worldview that could be on the left, not saying you are, would say, hey, the people of Gaza...
Yeah, I voted for Trump, by the way.
No, I'm not saying that. For sure, great. We just might not agree on this issue. The people of Gaza, some people would say, hey, it's been a bubbling up problem. We're going to justify what's happening on October 7th. We look at that and we say it's never acceptable to go and kidnap and to go cut throats, unprovoked, unprompted.
Sure, it's against international law, and I believe that Israel as well, where they did a lot of things that were against international law as well.
Well, I don't quite know what that would mean, but yeah, I mean,
war crimes,
such as
mass people.
Yeah, man, it's just, again, I don't want to keep going in circles, but it's like I can't see a single instance of Israel going out of its way to kill civilians.
You don't see it in a single instance of what?
Israel going out of its way to kill civilians. I see Israel going out of its way.
So you don't believe what they've done is genocide?
No, of course not. Because let's get our terms. Let's just go. What is genocide?
A genocide basically is mass a certain group because of their ethnicity, race, or culture or religion.
So was October 7th a genocide?
It wasn't a genocide, no.
By your own
Well,
definition.
yeah, let me tell you why. Because the ICJ now is investigating Israel. They're not investigating Hamas for genocide, if you know that.
Who?
The ICJ?
Yeah, the ICJ is anti-Israel, has been for a while.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure they are. Why do you say that?
Well, because they're funded largely by Arab
They're funded by who?
monarchies.
Funded by who? Hamas?
Well, like by Qatar and Saudi Arabia and by very wealthy Gulf dictatorships. But I just hold on. You're trying to say that Hamas was not investigated for what happened on October 7th?
Hamas is not being investigated by the ICJ of doing a genocide. Yes, that is
Have you
correct.
watched the videos?
I have watched the videos.
And
Yeah,
what
that
do
is
you-
correct. I feel like
you
it's
saw
fine.
the-
I
did
think-
you-
I
did you
think
see the
Hamas-
one
I
where
think
the-
Hamas-
And
Okay.
when they were laughing, you saw that one?
Sure. I think Hamas, what they've done was barbarism. I think they're
How
a
is it not
terrorist
a
group.
war crime then?
I think Hamas is a terrorist group. I really think they are. But that doesn't justify what Israel has done so far. That's all I'm saying.
Well, again, there's two separate things, but everything Israel did was
As of what October 7th, you believe that the Mossad, for example, is one of the biggest agencies in the world. It might be even better than the CIA, right?
Yes and no. I don't think they're nearly as effective as people think they are, and I can prove it to you. But
let me just prove my point, please. So what I'm trying to say here is that basically the Mossad knew about the attack from Hamas because they only had like Chinese bicycles, bikes and stuff like that to go in. So what I think is that basically the Mossad they knew about this attack because Hamas basically is Israel's biggest asset. If Hamas wasn't there, they would have not killed anybody. So I think
I just want to make sure I understand your argument. There's one part of the argument is asking, did Israel know? And was there a stand down order? I asked that question, never gotten an answer. You're going a step further.
We don't have proof. We don't have proof
and
that they knew.
hypothesizing that the Mossad, which is their CIA, wanted it to happen.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's insane.
Why do you think it's insane?
So you think that Mossad, which are Jews, wanted 1,300 Jews to die?
They didn't know that 1,300 people would die, but they wanted to see something so that they can be able to actually attack Palestine.
Got it. So we're just not going to agree because you have a much lower view of Jewish people than I do.
No, I believe in Israel's right to exist too.
No, I know, but what you're saying is that the Jewish leadership of Mossad wanted the Hamas to attack.
Yes, because what I'm trying to tell you is that they had homemade drones too. Hamas had homemade drones that they used. Okay, so how were they not able to see all of that happening? Is all I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, first of all, part of it is a legitimate question, but getting to as far as saying that must be the case, it's a big leap. It was a holy day.
Sure.
Right, which is very important. It was Shabbat, which is, 90% of IDF troops aren't there. But let me just kind of close on a moral question. Point, then a question. Number one, Hamas did not go after military targets.
Yes,
they
they
went
did go
after civilian targets.
That's correct.
Inexcusable. Number two, though.
That's what they were able to put their hands on.
Let me ask you a question. Who do you think there's a good guy or a bad guy in the equation of Israel versus Hamas?
As of who?
I'm asking, which one do you think is good, bad, better, or worse?
I think Hamas is bad. I think what the Israel government is doing is bad as well. That's why we don't have an
Got
agreement.
it. So let me
That's
ask
why we
you
don't have
just a hypothetical, and I don't mean to be interruptive.
Sure.
What should Israel have done in response to 1,300 people in the most horrendous way?
To target Hamas members in a better way, to not mass
What is a
kill
better
people.
way? Explain what that looks
Well,
like.
there's a reason why they have special forces. There's a reason why they have the
they used
best
them.
military. There's a reason
They
why they
used
have
them.
the best military equipment in the world so that they'll be able to target Hamas members.
Yeah, but they did all of that, and so I never get a concrete answer. So what I just want is I'm not going to defend everything that every IDF soldier ever did, but I find it so interesting that everything that Israel does gets so hyper-examined through this lens that no other country ever gets held to the standard of, ever.
Nobody does anything like Israel. With Palestine, yeah.
You believe that no other country does what Israel does?
With Palestine, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Who else? Tell me.
You think that I want you to just pause. You think that from the African civil wars?
Has anybody done anything worse to the Palestinians more than Israel?
Yeah, a lot of people have actually, like
Okay,
the
like
internment
what?
camps throughout China for the Uyghur Muslims, or the North Korean open-air concentration camps.
Well, basically,
Or-
they didn't commit genocide.
Yeah,
They didn't want ethnic cleansing.
But let me just close with this.
Right?
And this is not your. What's your name?
Yusuf.
Yusuf. This is not your fault, but it is an intentional provocation, and I find it to be repulsive. Not you, but generally, the overuse of the word genocide. Because when you keep on using genocide, you're basically trying to cheapen actual genocides that have happened the last 100 years.
Why would I have to cheapen it? I still believe that there are other genocides that happen too.
So you think
so you think if I say that it's a genocide,
I just want to make sure I understand this. You think that Israel's intentionally trying to kill as many people of Gaza as possible?
Yes.
Well, they're not doing a great job of it because the population keeps on going up.
Well, yeah.
As many people of Gaza as possible.
Yes.
Well, they're not doing a great job of it because the population keeps on going up.
Well, yeah, they 50,000 so far.
No, not even.
Since October 7th.
Maybe 20,000.
No.
But again,
how did you get your information? What, 20,000? What?
Well, it's again.
You want to fact check me? You want to fact check me?
You're getting too combative. I don't trust any of the. I don't trust any of the numbers of the international community.
Okay, sure.
But if it was really their goal to kill as many people of Gaza as possible, why doesn't Israel just bomb and kill them all right now?
Because basically all the world is going to be totally against it, which they are. But it gets to a point. That's all I'm trying to say. Like how you want to say that? Why wouldn't they just nuke Gaza? Is what you're trying to say?
Because they actually have tried. They have done their best to. So here's some facts.
They wouldn't be able to
They
justify
drop
that.
leaflets before they bomb. They do medical emergency surgeries for people of Gaza every single day, all throughout Israel. They are saving people's lives of Gaza every day.
And they bomb churches too. Do you know that?
Yeah, and I actually spoke out against it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. One time you've said that the Jews have never been ruled peacefully under the Arab rule.
Well, I asked for an example of that.
Yes,
yeah.
there are a couple.
Okay, I think the Jews in this audience wouldn't trust Muslims to govern them.
I'm saying in the Ottoman Empire. And
you trust Muslims to govern you?
I'm saying in the Ottoman Empire, Al-Andalus Empire from the.
I would not point to the Ottoman Empire as being a beacon of peace.
Please. I'm saying that Al-Andalus from the 8th to the 12th centuries, they say 4 centuries. They say 4 centuries in peace. It was actually called the Golden Age of the Jews. Did you know that, Charlie?
Well, actually, the Jews were in exile during that time, weren't they? Weren't they in Babylonia, and that's when the Babylonian Talmud was written?
When Al-Andalus took control, they basically welcomed the Jews for 4 centuries. You can look it up.
Yeah, but they were not in Israel, were they?
Not in Israel, but
so
you're
how
asking
could it,
me.
wait,
wait,
how could it be the Golden Age of the Jews if they weren't in Israel?
That's what they called it. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, that's what the Muslims called it.
No. Listen. Because what you said is basically that they never lived in peace under the Arab rule.
I asked a question. I said, can you point to an example?
I just pointed it out to you right now.
I find it to be completely lackluster. It's just not true. But
was there no peace to the Jews in Al-Andalus Empire? Is what you're trying to say?
No, no, again, I don't want to go back into like 8th century history.
That's
with
what
our
you
time.
asked. You asked a broad question.
I didn't
so
ask you. That was a video like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
but I would not say the Ottoman Empire was an example of peace. But I just want to be. If Israel laid down all of its weapons, what would happen?
If Israel would lay down all of its weapons, I've heard what you said. You said that basically that Hamas members will basically take control of Israel.
Or the Arab world would, right?
The Arab world wouldn't. Why would the Arab world would?
Why did they do it on the 6-Day War? Why would they do it on the Yom Kippur War?
The 6-Day War. You talk about the 6-Day War when Israel basically attacked Egypt.
No, they were attacked and provoked by. I mean, it's like let me just pause.
I
want to get to another question, but I have to say something, and this is what's disappointing. It's okay. He's coming in good faith. I have never been more pessimistic that this problem will ever be solved. Not because of you, but because there's just two different realities when it comes to this, and you cannot solve a problem when one side has a completely different telling of history than the other. I mean, that's fine. I'm not trying to attack you.
What I'm saying about history is wrong. But the Ottoman
yes,
Empire
but I don't want to dwell on that. But more important, more importantly than that, is that the other side has a completely different view of it. So I don't even know how we can reconcile this.
There are extremists on both sides. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
That's the problem. There might be.
For me personally, I'm Arab, and I still believe in Israel's right to exist. But
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. I say there are extremists on the Israeli side. I think all of Hamas is extreme. So I don't even want to say we're going to agree to disagree. I don't even know what planet you're coming from for this stuff. I think that I just say that.
For what stuff? For what stuff you think? What?
All of it. Just the idea that you would even entertain the idea that Jews could live peacefully under Muslims, that that you're looking at a two-state solution. It's fine. I'm not trying to criticize you. I just don't. Do you think that? In which country is more that looks more like American values, Israel or the Palestinian Authority?
I think Israel. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you say a two-state solution. What in conclusion would that look like?
That would conclude that the Palestine would have the right to exist, and they would have the right to govern themselves, and
why can't they be part of Jordan?
Why would they be a part of Jordan?
What is the national identity of Palestine? Educate me.
Palestinians.
What is that?
Like, what do you mean? What is that?
Yeah. What ethnicity are they?
Arabs.
Okay, so all Arabs are Palestinians?
No, but they are Arabs. What you trying to say? What is your point?
I'm trying to say, because at what point does somebody become a Palestinian?
When he was born in Palestine, or if his parents are Palestinians?
Again, this is why we're talking past each other.
What you trying to say?
I don't think the place exists.
What?
Because it doesn't. It's called Judea and Samaria. It's not called Palestine.
You don't believe that Palestine have the right to exist?
No, everyone has a right to exist. Show me where it is. It's a non-existent place.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we're gonna.
That's why we're on different planets, right? So, here, in closing with this, I find it very hard to sympathize at all with a group that decided to attack another civilian force of babies and girls and go to a concert and keep them as hostages and then play the victim. Instead of playing the victim, they never should have attacked Israel in the first place.
October 7th? You're talking about October 7th?
Of course I am.
But it didn't start on October 7th. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You see, we have a
Did you
different
read about
reading
the
of things.
2021 war, 2014?
Yes, of course there were little skirmishes, but
Skirmishes?
nothing.
There weren't skirmishes.
They elevated this to such a level. They invited the Israel response to a level. They knew what was going to happen. And now they're complaining about it. I'm sorry.
I believe what Hamas did was wrong. I believe what Hamas did was wrong, and they were expecting.
I'm not going to listen to your complaints when you go and mask civilians and women. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
With the war in the Middle East, do you think it was a defensible decision to tell the Israelis you wanted Trump Gaza, to agree for Israel to invade the Gaza Strip, and to continue to murder thousands of innocent children and civilians in a pointless war? Is that in America's interest? Is that in humanity's interest?
Well, first of all, you should know something about Trump. There's something, if you realize with Trump over the last 10 years, he is quite the social media user and uses hyperbolic language at times. But let me ask you, in the conflict of Israel versus Hamas, who's the good guy?
I believe both Hamas and the Israeli government are evil, but I think also that there is no justification.
Are they equally?
There is no justification for the murder and mutilation of thousands of innocent people and children in a futile.
Let's zero in on it.
There is no justification, Mr. Kirk, for invading hospitals, for bombing innocent populations and dragging out a war which is damaging Israel and the West's security.
You've made that point, but
well, it's not a point; it's a moral truth, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. It was also a moral truth that the war started because 1,300 Jews were killed and 200 were taken hostage. And when you declare war on Israel, expect a firestorm in reaction. Let me finish, I let you talk. Israel, at its holiest day of the calendar year besides Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, Samat Torah, the 50-year anniversary of the Six-Day War. On Shabbat, Hamas invaded Israel, deciding to go recklessly to music concerts, to homes, to kibbutzes, and taking 200 plus hostages. They knew what they were doing. In one of the most cloistered urban environments on the planet, 2 million people live in a place where it's impossible to wage war. Impossible. Where they wear civilian clothing, they violate every tenet of the Geneva Convention, and the IDF, when they do something right, they get no credit. When they do life-saving surgeries of a Gazan child, they get no credit. When they drop leaflets, they get no credit. But when they happen to bomb a place where they are operating their military from, which we now know from third-party verified sources, hundreds of Hamas military operations are in mosques, schools, and hospitals. I'm sorry, the country where they were living in relative peace on October 6th, that all of a sudden we had a war and Hamas started the war. And I don't see people that were really upset about the 2 million Germans that were killed in World War II, civilians. A tragic truth of war is that civilians die. I don't like it and you don't like it. And they brought it upon themselves. The only operation and entity to blame is the leadership of Hamas, not the Israeli government, for fighting this defensive war after they were invaded.
I'm no defender of the terrible pogrom that was launched against Jews on that day. But the justification for the death of innocents cannot be an infinite cycle of bloodlust. It cannot be killing tens of thousands of innocent civilians with a war with no end in sight, people who are not complicit in those atrocities. It cannot be bombing hospitals which children use. It cannot be bombing hospitals in which cancer patients are dying and starving in there. The deaths that have been inflicted, nobody knows the true toll, but somewhere between 50 and 100,000 people lie dead under the rubble. And what is left for Gaza except for to continue to suffer under Hamas? Because it turns out Netanyahu's political strategy has not worked. It has entrenched Hamas within the territories. To be a Christian, I would have thought, Mr. Kirk, would never have involved suggesting that the price for an atrocity must be an infinite cycle of bloodlust, that innocent people and the young population must be killed to avenge some kind of providential quest. How can you call yourself a Christian? Well, you just did.
I want to make sure we get our moral clarity straight before we proceed. No one likes what's happening in Gaza. No one with a heart or a soul or a mind likes when kids die. But you must understand who started the conflict so that you could end it correctly. And until Hamas brokers an unconditional surrender, of which they are unwilling to do, they could release the hostages and drop their weapons and their lives would be spared. Instead, they are using children of Gaza as cannon fodder, financed by the Iranian mullahs and dragging the entire world into this conflict. So I don't even know what we're debating at this point other than I believe that Israel, I believe the facts, Israel was unconditionally attacked on October 7th. They're responding in kind. And I would just ask you a very simple moral question. How should Israel have responded?
Not with the blanket carpet bombing of a city, not with bombing hospitals. Of course, some kind of military operation might have been necessary, but not murder on this scale. There is no justification for what is happening with the enormous death toll that is being produced. I really cannot see how you come here and you have the gall to lecture us on Christian morality and then sit here and justify the murder of thousands of civilians. And is it working, Mr. Kirk? Is Hamas dismantled?
I've never said that.
You just did.
Well, no,
this is your whole
in
thing.
war, these are called casualties of a war.
We're going to need to stop bringing this
Again,
to close.
I'm not going to justify every military maneuver of a 100,000 person army. Instead, what I will do is I'll be clear that there is a good guy and there is a bad guy. I honestly...
Isn't that the morality of a child?
Well, hold on. It's interesting you say that, because a child who knows that Israel is the good guy, Hamas is bad, has a lot more wisdom than a student like yourself at Cambridge University.
I will be glad that I will not have been somebody who has defended the genocide of the Palestinian people. And I think you will have to reckon one day that you have reckoned with...
Interesting. I want to close on this. So can you tell me what African country is currently ongoing a civil war?
Believe it or not, I know about Sudan because I'm not an idiot.
How about what Southeast Asian country has an ethnic cleansing going on right now?
Myanmar.
Good. And you have strong opinions on both sides?
Unlike you, I take an effort to be informed about foreign policy and to come to conclusions. You are a culture warrior. I believe when everything is done, Mr. Kirk, people will see you and the people you've supported as corrupt, as selling the country out to the lowest bidder and of doing irreparable damage to a country I'm sure we all deep down love.
The difference,
I think you will have to reckon with that.
Difference
one, Mr. Kirk.
Is when... The difference is when we get our way, we'll still have a country, and your country will be a third world hellhole. People dying in war is not a genocide. You know what a genocide is? Is a deliberate, systematic, attempted elimination.
Zionist project
to
eliminate Muslim people.
So now we're going...
That is a genocide.
Hold on a second. We're going to now take you at your own words. If it was a genocide, why doesn't Israel just drop a nuclear bomb on Rafah?
They've been dropping
answer the question. And why don't they just end it? If they wanted all the Arab Muslims dead, because they don't. Because they're fighting a humane war and dropping leaflets beforehand, because they don't want them all dead. I have had enough of this Israel hatred. Hold on. Let's just have moral clarity. Do you think 1 million abortions a year is a genocide?
Let me ask you this. Do you think 15,000 children
is a genocide.
No, it's not even close. It's a tragedy.
Oh,
it's
it's
not a genocide.
even close.
Hold on. Let's
Okay,
get our.
I think this guy doesn't know what a genocide is. What do you guys think?
A genocide is an intentional killing of people to exterminate them.
That sounds about right.
Okay, so
sounds like what's going on in Palestine right now.
Oh,
Am
you
I
mean
not
it's
right?
an active war that Gaza started?
No, that's a genocide.
Let's
look
take
at
a step back.
Look at the
How did
apartheid
this
that's
war
been going
start?
on there since the 1940s.
How
or
did
before
this
that,
war
when
start?
Zionism, which is a form of European settler colonialism, which I'm sure you're a big fan of.
How did this war start?
How did this war start?
Yes.
Well, do you want to take it all the way back to the early 1900s?
No. On October 6th,
And we might as well
Israel...
take it back. Tell you what, I was there for a lot of wars. You know, when I was around, there was a war going on. There was an occupation going on. Matter of fact, when I was around, there was an occupation going on. Do you know who was occupying my home when I was around the first time?
You mean like
the Romans?
The shoddy Seattle apartment that you grew up in when you played Jesus on the afternoon?
The Romans? You know who the Romans are, right? The people you wish you were descended from, but you're really not?
Okay, not even sure what you mean by that. I'm asking you a question. On October 6th, was Israel actively at war with Hamas?
On this day right now, what is going on in Rafah?
Hold on, just answer the question, man.
Why don't you answer that question?
I'm happy to. Israel is rightfully invading Rafah to go kill
Rightfully?
every
How
last...
is it rightfully?
Hold on, because I'm getting there. You have to
Go
answer
ahead.
the question. On October 6th, was Israel at war with Hamas?
I'm asking you a question. What's going on right now in Palestine?
I've answered the question. First of all, in
No, I don't think you answered it correctly.
Gaza, not in Palestine, in Gaza, which is a strip south of Israel, Israel is rightfully invading Rafah to kill every last Hamas terrorist. Why? Because
That's not rightful when you kill a bunch of
You're
children.
not answering the question, so I'll answer it for you. You know what happened October 7th? A dress rehearsal to Holocaust 2.0
Oh, wow.
is what
You are
happened on
living in a
October
fantasy
7th.
land.
Oh,
And what happened before
hold on,
that?
Hold on,
What
Stop
happened on
moral
October
equivocating
6th?
and stop trying to
What
justify.
happened on October 6th?
On October 6th, nothing happened.
Oh, really?
You know what happened? It was the day before one of the most holy days on the Jewish calendar.
What happened
Oh, I'm
in
sorry. You're right.
Jerusalem
Something did happen
on
on October
October
6th.
6th?
You know what October 6th happened? All the Arab terrorists were getting ready to go kill babies and women in Israel to
that
go
right?
invade rock concerts, kibbutzes, and nurseries
And where are they right? Where are
and go
those
slit
where are
little
those,
babies' throats.
Where are those Arab babies now?
Well, I'm sorry, Arab babies?
Yeah,
you mean the
where
Jewish
are they
babies?
at now? No, I'm talking about the Arab ones now.
Well, hold on. You're talking about
how many of them
civilians
died?
that
How
have...
many of them died and are dying right
You
now?
mean civilians
while you're
that
sitting
have
there with your microphone on?
They brought it upon themselves, man.
I don't think so, and that's not something I support.
Well, hold
so
on.
I will say this in closing, because this guy is a buffoon and definitely not a fan of mine or has represent anything of mine. I will say this:
he doesn't even know the Ten
point
Commandments.
I'm trying to say is to love everybody. That's it. Just stop killing everybody. Love everybody. Maybe you and me can get a kosher hot dog after this. I think it would be great.
What is
love your neighbor and they not like us. That's all I gotta say.
Love your neighbor as yourself, Leviticus 19, Deuteronomy 3-5. Hear, O Israel, I am the Lord your God. Love the Lord your God with all their heart, soul, strength, and mind. He's Jesus, but not a very good one. Okay, let's get on up here. Who wants to come back? Let me just kind of pause. You believe that the Jews run the American government.
That's not a secret, Charlie.
Well, no, I find it hilarious that...
all of Trump's cabinet is Jewish.
Well, hold on. Trump's whole cabinet. J.D.
They
Vance
have Jewish
is
connections. They're
Hold on a
married to
second.
a Jew. They
J.D.
have Jewish
Vance
descent.
is Catholic. Tulsi Gabbard is Hindu.
Jewish. They all have Jewish connections.
But you just
every
said
single
yes,
every single
you just
person
said
is
they were all Jewish. Christine Nome is an evangelical
They've
Christian.
converted to Judaism or Catholicism. They all have an AIPAC advisor.
Well,
Not a
hold
single
on,
person
hold
in
on,
Congress can make a decision without asking their Israeli, Jewish AIPAC advisor if it's okay to say.
Entire list.
Israel did 9/11, Charlie.
Oh, they did. Wow.
Why are we in the middle? I served. Why were we in the Middle East?
Well, I mean, you can,
why were we in the Middle East?
You can reject involvement in the Middle East without also believing Israel did 9/11. So if Israel did 9/11, help me understand this. Who were the hijackers of the planes?
They weren't hijackers.
Oh,
CIA.
okay.
CIA and Israel worked together.
No. Explain to me what happened on the aircraft.
Okay, first off, what we have to understand, there's only one plane that actually crashed.
No,
okay,
there were three.
No, the building's imploded.
Okay,
if a plane's going to hit a building, why would the building fall down?
Time out. Flight 93, did it exist?
Flight 93 existed, yes.
Okay, so who tried to hijack that plane?
They sacrificed those people to make it look like Bush was targeted because they wanted to cover up Bush's involvement.
So
he just happened to be in Texas reading a book to elementary kids, and they're reading a sign on a
Guys,
whiteboard
let me say
that talks about towers falling, Charlie.
Antisemitism.
We have been lied to since the beginning of this country. Jews, Freemasons, all of it's a satanic agenda. Israel is the synagogue of Satan. They're killing innocent people in Palestine over the guise of sovereignty. New World Order is coming, Charlie.
Guys, let me tell you. Anti-Semitism is literally a brain cancer, as you could see.
How is this anti-Semitic, Charlie? How is it anti-Semitic?
How is it anti-Semitic?
How am I hating on Jews when I'm saying that they...
You keep interrupting me. Israel
That's fair,
did
I'm sorry.
9/11 is a rather anti-Semitic thing to say. Explain to me Flight 93 and the families aboard that lost their loved ones. Who actually was the hijacker? Was it a Mossad agent?
No.
Okay, who was it?
The government put them there.
No,
These
who
people,
was it?
They crashed
No.
a plane intentionally to make it
No,
look
no,
like
no,
George
no, no.
W.
Who
Bush was targeted.
Who was the hijacker? No, this is important. They can never answer this question. Who was the hijacker?
They didn't have real hijackers, Charlie. They were plants.
Okay. So when
they were plants, CIA, Mossad. Mossad created
So when
Hamas.
they got the black box, of course, it was all just like a conspiracy.
Just like they found the passport miraculously 2 miles down from the crash site in
I'm sorry,
New York.
what?
They just happened to find one of the hijackers' passports laying on the ground 2 miles away from the crash site in New York. It just happened to be there. They just walked up and found it. They just randomly happened to find a perfectly good passport.
With that piece
Look
of
it
data.
up. Look up the passport.
Look, here, there's so much wrong with your worldview, but the biggest problem with your worldview is this, is that you are looking to other people to blame for all of our problems, especially a small group of people, albeit flawed. Every group is flawed. I'm not going to defend everything that every group has ever done, but I find it to be rather insidious and very treacherous, because you're going out of your way to try to create this big web of connections, and it's the Jews, and it's the Jews, and it's the Jews, and why are people overweight? Well, it's because of the Jews, and why are people sad? Because it's the Jews.
I never said that.
No, you're heavily inferring that every problem imaginable is the Jews.
I did not say every problem.
Well, I mean, he basically did, everybody, right?
Speaking of America first, I have to point out that you spent half your speech talking about a foreign country thousands of miles away, which brings me to my question. Last year, Turning Point USA hosted the Young Jewish Leadership Summit, during which you said, so a Christian that's not pro-Israel, I doubt they actually love their Bible. And I will stand by that statement. If you are a Christian that doesn't love Israel, then you take your Bible way, way, way too much for granted. End quote. So who are you to question the faith of Christian Americans that don't support a foreign country of a different religion that has spied on us, attacked us, and lied to us, like about WMDs in Iraq? And especially given your recent suggestion that Israel allowed the recent Hamas attacks to happen, why would you support a country that would do that? And do you still stand by your statement like you said you would?
No, I definitely stand by the statement. So I'm not an apologist for the Israeli government, but let me ask you, what religion was Jesus? What did he believe?
Yeah, well, obviously he was Jew, but modern day Judaism is
Hold on,
really...
time out. No. Where was Jesus born?
Well, somebody say he was the first Christian.
Well, hold on, time out. Well, where was Jesus born?
Why does that matter?
Well, no, do you know?
Why does that matter?
Okay, yeah, you're obviously not a Christian. You don't know where Jesus was born. He's born in Bethlehem. Okay.
In Judea.
And he was raised in Nazareth, and he walked on the water in Capernaum. What country are those places in right now?
What does it matter?
It does matter. You know why? Because when I went to Israel, I came in contact with the living God that walked on water and rose Lazarus from the dead. When I went to Israel, I saw the Bible come to life. When I went to Israel, I saw Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah in the Hall of the Patriarchs. When I went to Israel, what I read as Bible stories popped open, and I said, this is the Word of God. This is real. These are not fairy tales or fables or things that we tell our kids. When I went to Israel, I was able to cry where Jesus cried, where he was betrayed by Judas and arrested, where he rose from the dead and gives us eternal life. I am not an apologist for Israel, but I reject wholeheartedly this narrative. Christians who turn their back on Israel, it says in Genesis and Romans and 1 Thessalonians, Paul said, you will bless the Jews. If you bless Israel, you will be blessed. If you scorn Israel, you will be scorned. The Israeli government, plenty of suspicious things going on. How do we know the Bible is true? Every day, there are archaeological discoveries that confirm the truths of the Bible in 1 Samuel, in 1 Kings, in 1 Chronicles. There is a diabolical satanic agenda every single day to try and delegitimize the scriptures. And I will defend the Holy Land, the place that let me see where my Lord and Savior lived. And I will not apologize for that. Thank you very much. Next question. Thank you.